Wherever you're joining us from, we are super glad to have you. And this segment is a tender but important one. I think also very necessary. We're getting into grief. And grief that doesn't always get named. It's the grief that lingers beneath the surface, the kind that comes from unexpected losses, whether it's fractured friendships or relationships or simple things that didn't turn out the way we hoped, or maybe just unexpected losses altogether. And helping me with this conversation today, I am joined by the incredible Dawn Bruce, an expert in holding space for grief in all forms, even in the ones we didn't realize we were carrying. So if you have ever found yourself numb, angry, stuck, or wondering why I'm still not over this, I think this conversation is going to be great for you. By the end of it, you're going to walk away with some great tools. You'll understand the unspoken and unexpected ways that grief can quietly impact our lives, our emotions, our relationships, and even our self-care practices. But first, let me bounce on over to the lovely Dawn. So good to have you. How are you?
I am well, and I am so grateful to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. And I look forward to the conversation because it is a necessary conversation for us to have.
Oh, absolutely. So before we get into it, do you want to just tell folks a little bit about what you do, the type of work that you do?
Sure. So I like to say I'm a social worker, but beyond the profession of social work and getting a degree, as a woman of African ancestry, I've always been a social worker, being involved in the community, being involved with people coming and asking questions, and people feeling that they have a space that they can feel comfortable, as well as being a birth doula, a parent educator, and a whole host of other hats that I wear. And it's part of my identity because I see how my life, even as a young person, it flowed into each of these areas that I didn't plan. But sometimes experiences direct and I will dare say call you to do those things that you didn't think you could do. You thought you maybe didn't want to do, but you have to do.
Wow, I mean, like this is like a whole word right here. We weren't even gonna go in this direction. But so many things and how all the parts of us really come together to
Yeah.
not just maybe like help us or serve us, but because I really hear that it's about helping women and creating this space for them from from just a place of like giving life as like a doula and supporting that process. And we know how hard it is for Black women in so many spaces where we are not seen and we're not heard. So I love that this calling has really like brought you to this space. And I imagine it brings you so much joy on a regular basis.
It brings joy and healing because it helps me to understand my life. At this point in my life, I understand why I went through what I went through. Because unless you have experience, how would you really be able to teach and to tell someone I know what you're saying, not because you have the exact words to describe what they're saying, but you can relate in a way that a book could never teach you. A degree could never teach you.
Mm.
It's those life experiences that teach those important lessons for us to have an opportunity to grow and develop.
Wow, yes. And I know that you have a lot to teach us and share with us. So let's start with the heart of this. When you say, or when we talk about grieving the unspoken, what does that mean to you? And why do you think so many of us don't even realize that we're grieving?
Sure. So this is a culture that does not recognize and make space for grief. We don't have an opportunity to really work through the losses or even identify the losses. So when I look at grief and the difficulty in even recognizing it, because we are taught as women of African ancestry that we must get over it. We don't have time to grieve. We don't have time to take care of ourselves and feel the feels that are there. They don't go away, but we have to push them away. We have to hide them. We have to tuck them away. But what is actually happening is, and I don't want to get into the other questions, but I just feel it coming. So it's our bodies start talking to us, saying that you are in pain emotionally and mentally, but you are not acknowledging that pain. So what could the grief look like? Recently, I spoke to two people who lost their pets and how that really impacted them to the point of tears, to the point of, I know that this is my pet,
Mm.
but I have a connection to this pet.
Mm.
This is a living, breathing, um, I'll say being
Yeah.
that I connected with and is no longer here.
Mm. Yeah.
So I'm gonna, I feel to let you
Yeah,
continue.
yeah. She's like,
I feel
listen,
like
I'm
I'm
ready
getting ready to
to,
flow.
to run with this. Okay. I gotta hold on, girl. Hold on. 'Cause you're just saying so much already. And I think if you're listening, there's probably things that's like hitting you in your chest that's resonating right back to how we are not allowed to grieve.
Mhm,
Right. And
mhm,
I think part of our issue as women, as Black women, as women of color, it's like we're not allowed to grieve because we have so many things in front of us, from the responsibilities to this, the ideas of whatever success looks like, whatever comfort looks like, whatever security looks like, that we're so busy chasing those things that we don't even recognize what's happening within us. And I would
mhm.
love for us to kind of touch on that as well. What does that look like? Because I feel like we're sort of going there. How do we know that we are grieving? What does it look like? What does it feel like? Because you started to talk about the body. So how do we know there may be something there that we maybe need to release?
Sure. So even if we just look at
Mm.
our blood pressure readings, the way that we may be consuming more food as a comfort so that we don't feel the pain. We may go into ourselves and not want to talk, even though there's a need to talk,
Mm.
not wanting to talk. And also just saying, I have to keep it together. This strong Black woman, I have to keep it together, because if I don't keep it together, no one else is going to keep it together. So I
Right.
have to ignore myself, but our bodies are always talking to us. Our
Yeah.
situations and experiences are telling us, even when sometimes other people notice and they may say something, but we're not always heeding what they say because, one, we don't really want to deal with it sometimes. But our circumstances, one of the things I've learned in life is that my grandmother used to say, if you don't hear, you will feel.
Right.
So we're going to feel it in our relationships. We're going to feel it even at work. We're
Mm.
going to feel it in the church, wherever we are. Because Teddy Pendergrass said, you can't hide from yourself.
Come on.
Everywhere you go, there you are. So our pain is not going to leave us. Our pain is actually saying in different forms, pay attention to me.
Mm.
I'm talking to you. I need you to hear me. And I need you to allow me to let this out through you, through your tears, through your voice, through your anger, through
Mm.
your resentment for whatever happening that happened.
However it needs to
Hey,
show up, like just
how,
let it show up.
let it show up. Let it
Mhm.
show up. Feel all the feels.
Yes, yes, yes. Now, the cause of grief, right? I think sometimes we just think it's like, like the death of a loved one, right? You mentioned the loss
Right.
of a pet, right? Like we are so attached even to like our animals, right? That creates the same sense of loss for us. And even like grief and loss can be defined differently too. But usually we just think of it as like losing that person, but it really can show
Right.
up in so many other places. What are
Sure.
some of the more unexpected losses you see women grappling with, especially the ones that don't always get named?
Sure. Even the aging process, that we are no longer, we may be in our 50s and 60s and see that our bodies are different. That can be a loss because that springy young woman that used to do all that she did, that could be a loss.
It is. You're like, where's she at? How do
Things
we
are
get her hips back? Where is she?
right, things are changing. It's like,
Right?
whoa, wait a minute, hold up, hold up,
Why do
hold
my
up.
knees hurt?
Right, right. The changes in the body. And I think that's something we don't really talk about. We don't
Not
have
enough.
conversations with women who have gone through that process.
Yes.
You speak to the women who have yet to go through that process. So that's a loss. You can
Mm.
even feel even the loss of employment, because how many people are attached to what they do in terms of work?
Right.
And what
Right.
happens?
Yeah. Mm.
Even children, when children leave the nest, right? What does that, who am I now? Because that's a loss. So what's happening to me? Who am I? What do I do now that I'm not taking care of my children? Or even the loss of relationship, as you mentioned earlier. What if there's estrangement? What if children don't want to talk to you, older children, for different reasons?
Yes, right. It might not
But
be like
you
this
know,
natural leaving, but due to like conflict, connection, disruption in the
right,
home,
right.
secrets, all those things. Yes. Yeah.
Sure. So losses can come in many forms, and you're right. It's not just the loss of a spouse or the loss of your parents or even the loss of a child is going to bring what it brings to that. But it's all of these losses. That's the main thing.
Right.
There's so many losses. There's losses in the community. Even grief. I'm going to look, I feel like going out there, even grieving the community, not having that community, feeling alone, feeling as though, I can't, how am I supposed to function? I remember one young lady that has children, and we were talking. She said to me, "Where is the village?"
That's
So
huge.
that loss of support.
Yes.
And this isn't even something I really thought about before to this level, but it's coming up in this conversation because loss is so vast. Loss of friendships. Things happen and no one, you don't even know why it happened. You you just don't know, but I would like to say on that point, sometimes you have to experience a loss so you can grow. Sometimes people have to leave, and I'm talking about friendships. If we can always call it a friendship. Sometimes people are there to teach you particular lessons. And while we may have thought it was a friendship, we actually see that this person was serving a purpose. In my life, I was serving a purpose in their life. What is the lesson? And also to make space to say, you know what? I have to let this person go because with loss comes, I have to let go, which is not easy.
It's not. And I think even though you went into friendships, I think you can insert anything in that box, right? Like
Yes.
whatever that loss is. Cause even in the loss of like let's say like work or employment, like we have a lot of shifts just going on in our society right now. Loss of maybe was a home or like whatever it is, right?
Mhm,
Sometimes
mhm,
there could be whether it's a lesson in that or something that's going to develop in you because you now have to learn how to be without this thing and how to
right,
evolve into like your next place, right? And
right.
losses for sure, it's never always easy. And I think I really want to leave folks with that. If we can talk about that for a second too. For the woman listening who knows she's carrying something but really doesn't know where to begin, I heard the word even release, and that's super powerful too. But
Mhm.
what are some practical ways, one or two practical ways she can start tending to that grief or that loss and caring for herself in that process?
Sure. So I would first say feeling the feels,
Feel the feel.
not not feeling that you should not be angry that this person or this situation is no longer here. Feel the anger. Allow yourself to feel the grief, the tears. Allow the tears to come. Allow yourself to ask the question, what do I do now? Because sometimes we become enmeshed with people. We become so entangled in people. And I'm just going to speak to people, well, even things. We become so intertwined with people and things that when those people and things aren't there, we don't know where to start. We don't even know who we are.
Know who we are. Wow, there's so much
No.
connection to like identity and loss here.
Sure, sure, sure. So it's important to say, what is it that I need to do for me because I know this person or thing isn't coming back. And I guess I just like to share something very personal in terms of my own experience with loss when my husband died 4 days before our son was born. And it was just very interesting the way that it happened. And, we were doing African clothing showing and he went out and it's getting late on a Friday. I was like, something is not right. And the police coming like later, early that Saturday morning and saying he's in a hospital. And I said, okay, I go to the hospital. He's on life support. So Now it's later that Saturday and I'm there, other people are there. I asked the doctor, is he going to die? He straight up told me yes. So when someone is on life support, they do these tests to see if they will come around, and that wasn't happening. So on that Monday, I had to sign the papers to take him off life support. At Tuesday, my water broke. That Wednesday, I had my son in early Wednesday morning. And then that Monday, I was at his funeral. So I'm sharing this story because one of the things I said at some point, I said, I cannot die because he died. I can't die because he died. And while people were telling me, oh, well, you're here to take care of the baby. No, not, no, 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 because what you're telling me is that I'm only here to take care of this child and not look at myself. But I'm grateful for the opportunity to feel the feels. I mean, I wrote a letter of anger to him saying, you know, you died. You came to the last Lamaze class, right? And you're gone. And now I have to deal with this. So there was some show enough anger there. I didn't say sure enough. I said show enough anger, right?
Uh-huh.
There were a lot of feelings. See, because then everything is impacted. Finances, relationships. And another thing, part of the loss, you see that people talk a lot, I'll be there, whatever they say, and then you find they're not there. So it's important to share this story because it's real in terms of what happened. And grieving doesn't stop, but you learn through the grieving process. You learn, and I've been learning, I continue to learn what are the lessons. And I see the importance of my husband, why he came into my life, how he helped me, but he wasn't going to stay for the duration. But that's the point that I came to. And some people don't get to that point because it's painful. I acknowledge the pain. At the same time, if you want to be able to grow, if you see that you are more powerful than you ever thought you were through this experience, that's golden. That's what we want. So feel the feels, acknowledge the pain. Even if you have to write it down, if you feel you need to go to therapy, if you feel you need additional help, find out what that help is for you and allow yourself to go through the tears, whatever it is, so that you can continue your journey. Oh, I need to stop. Oh, because I feel it. Go ahead, Miss
Listen,
Amanda.
it is in my heart, so I feel it too. So, oh, whoo. So there's power in that in so many different ways, right? And I know that people will find what they need in segments of that because you just gave us so much just like richness, right? And I think in this entire conversation, and I just really appreciate and value like your vulnerability and how far you've come because I think sometimes we don't even get far enough to tell the story. And I
Right,
think
true.
sometimes to even just with our healing and resolving like that initial wave of anger, disappointment, all of that, sometimes we don't even get past that and we drown
Right.
in that.
Sure.
And again, our story gets lost, right? And going back to this place where you talked about like the carrying on of wisdom from generation to generation, where we're talking about things, we're not talking about things enough. And if you are lost in your story, lost in your pain, that's one more thing that you don't get to pass on to somebody else that they might need. So really, really, really appreciate you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think someone told me some time ago, she said, Dawn, I know you don't want to share this, talk about this experience, but you need to share this experience.
Mm,
So I've been developing and coming to this place, and this is what I must do, along with the other life lessons.
yes,
Being a mother, being a single mother, something I didn't plan,
right.
right? But it happened. So
Yeah.
now what?
Now what?
Now what?
Yeah. So
But
I love all of that. So thank you so much again for sharing that. And even that place of like, now what? It's a big question, I think, for all of us to consider, including, again, every part of this conversation. So if this spoke to you, know that you are not alone. And I'm sure you can hear that just from within the story and what was shared today. And, you know, sometimes the heaviest things that we carry are the ones that we don't even name out loud. And hopefully you could start to hear today how to begin to name that. If it's just that first step of acknowledgement, even if it's acknowledging the anger, the disappointment, what you didn't expect, all of those things, just getting it out in whatever way. If you need to cry it out, if you need to write it out, and also understanding, as we heard today, that grieving doesn't stop, right? But there is this call to move through the pain, to feel, right? Dawn said, feel, acknowledge, find the help if you don't have it, because like your identity matters. And I feel like I'm hearing it's like your identity beyond grief too. Like you are more than just this person in this situation, in this circumstance, and there might be more to it for you too that you can use, I think, in the way that Dawn has found her way to use it too, right? So, you know, we thank you guys for listening and hanging out with us. Like Dawn does amazing work. If you need somebody to really put this together for you, if you need support specifically with grief or in any of those aspects, like parenting, helping parents move through loss, and she does some really great workshops, and we'll make sure to share her information as well. Otherwise, guys, we're so happy that you sat with this conversation, and really encourage you to share it with someone if it hits you in any kind of way. You know, when we talk about this collective wisdom and sharing it, right? Share it with somebody, share it on your socials, grab the link and say, hey, you just need this. Or don't tell them nothing, just give them the link so they can get it. All right. But Dawn, thank you for reminding us that grief is not just about loss, it is about love. And some of that is loving ourselves, and that honoring our pain is one of the deepest forms of self-care that there is. So thank you so much for hanging out, ma'am. I appreciate you.
And thank you for the opportunity. Take care.
Always a pleasure.
Her way.